Have you ever stood in a pharmacy aisle, palms hovering over a dazzling, confusing array of bottles and boxes, and wondered which one will actually help you sleep? Melatonin, magnesium, herbal blends, antihistamines, prescription sedatives, natural remedies, sleep gummies, teas, sprays. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, and rightly so. Different products promise the same thing, a better night, but they work in very different ways, and some can even make the problem worse. Right now, millions of people are stuck in frustrating sleep loops. Some can't fall asleep no matter how exhausted they are. Others drift off only to wake repeatedly through the night. Some people wake up at 4 a.m. and can't get back to sleep, while others sleep 8 hours and still feel bone tired. The key point is simple but often overlooked. Those are not the same problem. Yet we treat them the same way far too often. That's why so many interventions fail. Real, lasting improvement begins with understanding why sleep is broken in the first place. Today we'll walk through the science behind sleep medicines, supplements, and behavioral strategies, and why the right match between the treatment and the underlying sleep mechanism matters far more than grabbing the strongest sleeping pill on the shelf. Not all sleep problems are the same. In clinical practice, almost every insomnia complaint can be traced back to one of four core mechanisms: sleep pressure, circadian timing, hyperarousal, or sleep architecture disruption. Understanding these four makes everything clearer. 1. Sleep pressure. Think of sleep pressure as biological sleep hunger. The longer you stay awake, the more adenosine and other sleep-promoting chemicals build up in the brain, and the stronger the urge to sleep becomes. When sleep pressure is weak because you nap too much, lead a very sedentary life, or spend excessive time in bed awake, you may lie in the dark staring at the ceiling long after your head hits the pillow. In other words, you're not hungry for sleep, you're just lying down. 2. Circadian timing. Your internal clock, the circadian rhythm, tells your body when it expects to be awake and when it expects to be asleep. When that timing is shifted, your brain is simply out of sync with the world. If your clock is delayed, you may feel alert at midnight and unable to fall asleep until the early morning hours. If it's advanced, you might wake at 4 a.m. and find it impossible to return to sleep. Circadian problems are about timing, not necessarily how sleepy or stressed you feel. 3. Hyperarousal. This is probably the most common sleep complaint in modern life. The body might be exhausted, but the brain is revved up. Anxious thoughts, stress about work, financial worries, an endless stream of evening notifications, or simply an overactive mind that refuses to switch off. In hyperarousal, the nervous system stays in a heightened state, and falling asleep becomes difficult or fragmented. This is the classic picture of insomnia, where you lie awake replaying the day or anticipating tomorrow. 4. Sleep architecture disruption. Even if you sleep enough hours, the structure of that sleep can be altered. Deep slow-wave sleep, the restorative phase, and REM sleep, important for memory, emotional processing, and creativity, are the key players. If those stages are reduced, fragmented, or mistimed, you can wake unrefreshed. Problems like sleep apnea, periodic limb movements, or the effects of certain drugs can break the normal progression of sleep stages. Here's another crucial distinction that doesn't get enough attention. Sedation is not the same as restorative sleep. Imagine turning off the lights in a busy office building. The lights go dark, but that doesn't mean the maintenance team is doing their repairs or the systems are being optimized for tomorrow. Likewise, a drug can make you unconscious, remove awareness without creating the biological conditions for rebuilding tissues, consolidating memory, clearing metabolic waste, or processing emotions. True sleep is an active, restorative state in which specific brain processes occur. Deep sleep promotes physical recovery and growth hormone release. REM sleep helps with memory consolidation and emotional regulation. Modern sleep medicine is increasingly focused on asking not just, does this make someone fall asleep, but what kind of sleep does it produce? Let's talk about sleep medications by class and how they fit into these mechanisms. Sedative hypnotics. These drugs often act through the brain's primary inhibitory neurotransmitter system, GABA. They usually reduce sleep latency, people fall asleep faster, and can be very helpful in the short term, but many alter sleep architecture, suppressing deep or REM sleep in some cases, and tolerance can develop with prolonged use. And that's one reason clinicians avoid relying on them indefinitely. Antihistamines. Many over-the-counter sleep aids use first-generation antihistamines, think diphenhydramine, doxylamine. Because they're sold without a prescription, people assume they're harmless. Availability does not equal safety. These drugs can cause next-day grogginess, slowed reaction times, dry mouth, urinary retention, and cognitive slowing, effects that can be particularly problematic for older adults. With repeated use, tolerance often develops, meaning people need higher doses to get the same sedating effect. Dual orexin receptor antagonists, DORAs. This is one of the most exciting advances in sleep pharmacology in recent years. Orexin, also called hypocretin, is a neuropeptide that acts as a powerful stay-awake signal in the brain. DORAs don't force sleep in the same blunt way many sedatives do. Instead, they quiet the brain's wakefulness system, making it easier for sleep to occur naturally. Early research suggests DORAs may preserve normal sleep architecture better than older sedatives and might support the brain's restorative functions more effectively. And there's also intriguing early-stage work suggesting modulation of orexin pathways could influence glymphatic or brain waste clearance systems, a putative link to neurodegenerative disease risk that is promising but still very much under investigation. Now let's clear up a pervasive myth about melatonin. Melatonin is not a sleeping pill in the sedative sense. It's a timing cue, a darkness hormone. Its primary job in the body is to tell your circadian system, night has arrived, prepare for sleep. The trouble is that many people take far too much. The brain produces tiny amounts, often fractions of a milligram, whereas commercial products commonly contain 5, 10, or even 20 milligrams. For circadian rhythm issues like jet lag, shift work adjustments, or delayed sleep phase syndrome, small doses can be surprisingly effective because you're restoring or reinforcing the timing signal. For people whose main problem is hyperarousal, melatonin often does little because the issue isn't timing, but an activated nervous system. Supplements are the next huge category, and the wild west of sleep remedies. The industry is enormous and evidence varies widely. Magnesium has some supportive data for relaxation and improving sleep quality, especially when deficiency exists. The effect is generally modest, but can be helpful as part of a broader sleep strategy. Glycine is interesting. Research suggests it may improve subjective sleep quality and next-day cognitive performance when taken before bed, perhaps by lowering core body temperature or altering neurotransmission. L-tryptophan is a precursor to serotonin and melatonin, and some studies suggest sleep benefits in susceptible individuals, but responses vary. Ashwagandha, an adaptogenic herb, may help people whose insomnia is tied to stress and anxiety. It appears to modulate the stress response in some studies. Phosphatidylserine has shown potential in managing elevated evening cortisol for some people, but larger trials are needed. Tart cherry juice contains natural melatonin and polyphenols. Several studies report modest improvements in sleep duration and quality. The common thread is this: no supplement is a universal fix. They may be useful tools when chosen to match the underlying problem and used alongside good sleep habits, but they won't compensate for fundamentally mismatched physiology or persistent poor sleep behavior. Which brings me to the intervention most people overlook: behavior. Medications and supplements can help bridge acute challenges or difficult life phases, but they can't permanently fix chronically poor sleep habits. Morning sunlight exposure, consistent wake times even on weekends, dimming evening light, especially screens, limiting alcohol close to bedtime, careful caffeine timing, regular daytime exercise, and stress management are still the foundation of healthy sleep. Cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, CBTI, is the gold standard non-drug treatment for chronic insomnia. It directly targets the thoughts, behaviors, and conditioning that keep people stuck in sleepless patterns and often produces durable benefits. Think of medications as bridges, not destinations. They can get you across a rough patch, but ideally, the long-term solution addresses the underlying cause, not just the symptom. At OXYZEN, we talk about health intelligence, understanding the root cause so you can create a targeted, sustainable plan. The goal is not merely to be unconscious for 8 hours. The goal is restorative sleep, the kind that repairs the body, consolidates memories, clears metabolic waste, and leaves you alert and emotionally balanced the next day. And if there's one lesson I want you to take away, it's this: the best sleep treatment isn't the strongest medication, it's the intervention that matches the biology of the problem. Trouble falling asleep may call for sleep restriction techniques or increasing daytime activity to build sleep pressure. Trouble staying asleep could reflect medical issues, early morning cortisol spikes, or circadian misalignment. Early awakenings might respond to circadian adjustment strategies. Non-restorative sleep may require evaluation of sleep architecture and potential contributors like sleep apnea. Each pattern tells a different story and deserves a different solution. The future of sleep medicine is not stronger sleeping pills. It's better understanding, better personalization, and treatments that work with your biology instead of fighting it. We're moving toward therapies that preserve natural sleep stages, address the precise neural systems at play, and combine pharmacology with targeted behavioral interventions. I'm Dr. Yende. Thank you for joining me on another episode of OXYZEN Health Intelligence. Remember, the goal isn't simple unconsciousness. It's restorative, biologically meaningful sleep, the kind that lets you live your days fully. I'll see you in the next episode.